Oh, this is a great start. Hello everyone. I've got a absolutely colossal, it's not even close to funny. I've got a giant pile of clothes on my bed. I have been traveling, as some of you may know. I have been traveling for the last... Okay, let me put it in a different way. I'm at my home right now in Los Angeles, in beautiful Los Angeles, California. I have not been in this singular home, slept in this singular home for a period of more than 7 days straight in the last 6 months. So I've been living out of suitcases, and I really still am, because that streak isn't ending. But I own a lot of clothes, and I've been kind of steadily going through them. And on this last trip, I basically ran out of them. And so, my suitcases have just sort of been piling up with clothes. And now I've got to just, before my flight tonight, which I have to pack for in, an hour and a half to go to Salt Lake, spend a little bit of early wintertime fun there. Who just texted me? Do that. Okay, cool. So anyway, before I go to Salt Lake tonight, I wanted to unpack, kind of take all of my suitcases. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 suitcases, and I decided I was just going to take all of them, dump them out onto my bed, which was a mistake because I had gone to the beach at one point and there was a lot of sand in one of them. That was weird. Anyway... Anyway, I've got just a ton of clothes that I have to put away, and so I figured that I would, do a little Instagram live Q&A. We could have a little talk. So yeah, let's just kind of go for it. Am I an e-boy? I don't know. I have ripped jeans on. Does that make me an e-boy? I don't think that it does. Good Lord, those are my keys. Fun fact about my keys, they've got the state of Texas on them, because I can't pick just one state. Oh my god. No, I'm not dating anyone right now. Man, I'm looking for questions, you guys. I'm looking for questions. How do I come out? Everyone's situation coming out is going to be a little bit different. So when I decided to come out as bisexual a couple months ago, it was a decision that was really made mostly on my own. It was kind of a decision that I kind of knew that I wanted to do. I had known that I wanted to do it for a while, and I just kind of said, you know what, at some point this becomes more of a logistical challenge, a problem of when am I going to do this, how am I going to do this, than a problem of should I do this. So I'm already in a very different situation than a lot of people, because I wasn't worried about if I should do this. I knew that it was a thing that I wanted to do. How? I think it's completely up to you. So the way that I did it was I came out to my parents first. I've always felt like it's a part of me, but I don't feel like it's all of me. So I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, and I also was still figuring it out, so I decided that I was not going to let my parents ask me any questions about it. And instead of just telling them outright that I said... I convened a conference call. I was in Washington, D.C., and my dad was in Salt Lake or something, and my mom was in L.A., and so I convened a conference call of the family, and I said, hey, what's good? Just wanted to let you know, boys, girls, and other people, bye, and literally hung up the phone. And so, your coming out process can be as simple as that. It can be a more complicated thing. I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could have done one of the big speech things with one of the organizations that does advocacy for LGBTQ people, but that felt disingenuous to what it feels like for me, which is just one part of the bigger person that I am. So that was how I decided to come out. For you, I think that there's always a lot to consider. I think I would never tell anyone to come out if their situation is not going to be conducive to that. But if your situation is going to be conducive to that, if you are able to come out, then I would highly recommend it, because being able to be your true self publicly is something that I highly recommend, and it's been really great for me. I was in a kind of darker place before, and once I was able to do that, it made me feel a lot better. Upcoming projects I'm excited about. Yes, there is an upcoming project I'm extremely excited about. So we're working on, I can't say what it is, but I am working on something that is super, super exciting, and I'm going to move on from this question before I accidentally let anything slip. But there is a project that I'm working on. Just not able to tell you anything about it yet. So, yeah. Best pizza topping. The classic is, of course, pepperoni. The worst pizza topping is without a doubt pineapple. But I think that everyone should consider putting arugula on their pizza. This is like a kind of bougie take, but arugula on pizza is very, very, very delicious. Getting a weird political question. Come on, send it into the actual questions thing, because I can't really understand it. This is bullying. This is what bullying looks like. I wear a lot of shirts, but I do mostly wear only about 3 shirts. I'm bi. Okay, so this is something that's kind of come up a little bit recently. Taxation without representation is obviously something that was used as a rallying cry throughout the Revolutionary War, because the colonists were being taxed by the British government, but did not have representation in Parliament. You know what's crazy? The District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., has the same thing. They're being taxed right now by the U.S. government, and they've got no vote in Congress. They can vote for who the president is, but that came about relatively recently. But they actually still cannot vote for their own. They have a delegate to Congress, which is great, and she can vote in committees, but she can't actually vote on the floor of the House. How the hell are the 600,000, 800,000 some odd, I have no idea how many people live in D.C. A lot, though. There's a lot of people who live in D.C., and they're not all politicians. They're not all politicals. They're not all interns like I was, just trying to make it work. They're real people who, have to, serve those people and, let those people live their lives. There are, people who work at Starbucks who just happen to live in Washington, D.C., and they can't vote for a member of Congress that can fight for them. It's completely ridiculous. Anyway, that's my opinion. That was really loud. I can't read the rest of this question, but I do see Lamau. I hung out with you at the debate with the Gravel teens in Detroit and had no idea who you are till you left us on a cliffhanger. It's cool. That's dope. The Detroit Democratic presidential debate was super fun. I went. It was amazing. Got to hear from all the candidates. It was the first time out of, so far, what has been 2 times that I've seen a group of presidential candidates speak. Got a text. So it is, I am super happy. And it's any time that you get the opportunity to hear somebody who's vying for your vote speak, if you have the chance and you have the means and the ability to do that, go do it seriously, because like it's awesome, and you should take the chance if you can. Let's look at another question. Yeah, so that's kind of... Is this showing up? Yes, cool. So that's kind of the thing that's so crazy to me, is Washington, D.C. has got more people living in it than the smallest state, which is the state of Wyoming. And yet the state of Wyoming has got 2 senators and a representative in the House of Representatives. Yet D.C. has got none of the 3 of those, which is, it's completely ridiculous to me. Everybody in the United States deserves to have their voice heard and their vote heard. But if you live in our nation's capital, closer than literally anybody else to those voices that are being heard, you don't have the opportunity to. So the Democrats have been working very hard with, I believe it's Eleanor Holmes Norton, who's the District of Columbia delegate, but she can't vote, from D.C., and to try and turn her into an actual member of the House of Representatives, but they have not been able to do that because of opposition from the Republicans, who do nothing but obstruct and try and stop the function of government. But it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. Starve the beast ideology always works great. It's fine. So coming out hasn't affected my political beliefs. I've been very strong and very firm in my political beliefs from the very beginning, and I'm very committed to finding a candidate who, yes, of course, will fight for the LGBTQ community, but also that's not the end-all, be-all. That's not the most important issue for me by kind of a long shot. I am not a single-issue voter, because there is no such thing as a single issue that exists kind of in and on its own. I'm a very firm believer that like every single thing that we talk about, whether it's the climate crisis or LGBTQ rights, is or race as an issue in a presidential election, criminal justice, they're all connected in one way or another. And so I have to look at every single issue, and I see it as my responsibility to look at every single issue and find out who is voting with my beliefs on every single possible issue that I am able to. So it has not changed my political beliefs, because I'm a Democrat, and I am still a Democrat, and that's not changing because I like the country. It's pretty simple. Oh man, my flight just got delayed. Well, that sucks. How do you know it hasn't already happened? Looking for more questions. People send like questions like 8 times over and over again, and I'm like, especially if it's a question that I already don't want to answer. I'm like, not sure what to say about that. I'm still looking for questions, I promise. I speak English, Spanish, Espanol, and like a little bit of Hebrew, but I'm not very good at Hebrew. Might guest someone if I still can't come up with a question that I'm a super big fan on. Do I plan on acting again? Yeah. I do love politics, and I think a lot of people have seen me talk about politics a lot and have been like, oh, cool, he's going to stop acting. And that's not the case. I love to act. It's been a huge part of my life for the last 15 years. I just kind of also love politics. So I'm moving forward in my life and kind of seeing where both of those paths take me. Annie Mac was obviously an amazing experience, but with that being over, it's freed me up a little bit to just kind of explore everything that I'm interested in. That's what's up, bro. Death sentence, capital punishment. Let's talk about it. So, a lot of people look at capital punishment. Look at capital punishment as. I'm gonna start that over. A lot of people, I think, look at capital punishment as you do the crime, you do the time, you do such a bad crime that you really got to do something very, very serious to a person who does a very serious crime. So obviously, if you have triggers for like violence or rape or anything like that, this would be the time to turn this live off. But if you do commit a crime like that, there's a certain very natural thing that's like, oh, let's kill that person so that they, like, that's the punitive part, the part of the brain that's like, oh, you do something bad, I'm going to punch you in the face for it. And to a certain extent, I understand that. I think that it makes a lot of sense. Here's the thing. I'm going to attack this from two angles. Let's pretend like we can completely perfectly know every single time that somebody is guilty. We don't. I'll get into that in a minute. Because we sentence a lot of innocent people to death. But let's pretend that we were never sentencing anybody innocent to death. Only people who actually committed these crimes were getting killed. The way that we are administering the death penalty is awful. This kind of whole thing started with stoning or just straight up lynch mobs or hangings. But the way that we do it modern, right now, is through lethal injection, which is a cocktail of drugs that first is designed to first knock you out and then stop your heart. It doesn't really work, mainly because doctors swear an oath, the Hippocratic oath, that they will do no harm. So doctors can't actually administer the death penalty because that would be them doing harm. So It often goes wrong, and there are these awful humanitarian cases where the death penalty goes wrong and somebody dies an awful, painful death. And I think that sucks. And some people will definitely say, well, you know what? It kind of is what it is. If you murdered somebody, if you did such an awful, heinous crime, it sucks. You should go out painfully. I get it. I get where that comes from. The other side, though, is we're sentencing a lot of innocent people to that painful, awful death, and no innocent person should ever be put to death. That is something that I hope most people, if not all people, can agree on. But if you look at the statistics right now, we're sending more innocent people to death who are being vindicated or proven innocent by DNA evidence than a long time in American history. So, because DNA evidence is so much better than any of the other evidence that we've used in the past in crime, it's a lot harder to just be outright like, okay, you did this crime without DNA evidence. And now a lot of people are getting acquitted. They're being proven that they actually didn't commit their crime because of DNA evidence. So we sentence a lot of people who shouldn't be put to death, and I think that that's really shitty as a general rule. I saw a question up here that I'd kind of love to elaborate on. Let me see if I can find it again. I can't see it. Okay, that's fine. Okay, whatever. So the question was that I saw while I was answering that last one. I'm going to close that. The question that I saw when I was answering that last one was, is Andy Mack actually over? And it seems like you guys are keeping a season 4 a secret. So I can promise you, I can tell you now that I don't know anything about anything like that. I know that Terry's working on a new show. Most people, I'm working on a new project right now, and so I should be very clear and upfront with you guys as fans that the last notice that I received about the show and about the show's future was the written cancellation notice that was mailed to me and said, hey, show's over, contract's up, bye. So that was obviously in much nicer terms than that. So that's the last of the news that I have heard about the show. And I feel like as you guys are such good fans of the show, I should feel very clear. I should be very clear and upfront about that. So yeah, that's what's up. That's kind of the Andy Mack season 4 kind of generic Andy Mack season 4 questions answer. This is the dumbest question that I've gotten in a little bit. Gang violence is really bad, and kind of promoting something like that is also just generally bad. A lot of people, especially in LA, join a gang like the Crips or the Bloods because they have got no other outlet and no other place to go, and it's awful. And so we should be doing everything possible, not only to reduce gang violence across the city and the state, but we also should be doing everything possible to create social programs so that kids don't feel pressured to go into gangs in the first place. So it's kind of that's a two-pronged problem. I'm not answering that question. Couple of like really long questions that I can't even read. Tired. Alright, I am going to possibly head out, and maybe we will talk a little bit later, and find some answer some other questions, and let's see if I can read this. How can I become more involved and have more... Okay, so I don't know what this full question says, but how can I become more involved is an awesome question. So if you find a candidate that you like, here's what I'd love for you to do. If you find a candidate who is near you, why am I getting texts? If you find a candidate who is near you, who you like, you can go to their website right now and you can look at their volunteering options. Find them, figure out how you can get involved. I can't answer specifically for any candidate, but you can go around and anyway, go canvass, go knock doors, go fight for candidates that you believe in, go fight for the party that you believe in. Hopefully that's the Democratic Party, because they're the better one. But yeah, go vote and go be involved. Peace.